Hello all, welcome you all to the second video of the effect of new keyword in C++. In the last video we have seen one program in which we have observed the effect of applying new keyword while initializing the variables and what happens when you copy the object. So in this video we'll try to give the reasons behind it. So here is one snapshot of the code in which we have class A with one id variable and we are initializing that id variable inside a constructor to value 1. Three objects are created, 1, 2, and object 3 is assigned to object 2. That means you are going to copy all the values of object 2 into object 3. When we create these three objects, independent copies of all three objects are created, and this all three objects have a separate copy of id variables. As we are using a constructor to assign a value 1, these all three objects initially keep the value as 1. When you change object 2.id to 2, then only that copy will be modified and the object 2's id value will be changed to 2. Still, object 1 and object 3 will hold value 1 for them their id variable. If you modify object 3.id, then it will again change only the value of id of object 3. So why this happens? These three objects are created on a variable stack and each of this object have an independent memory space and id lives inside the space of that object. So when you modify any of the id variable of any of this object, that really do not change anything for other objects. So if you modify id for object 1, it will reflect only in object 1. If you modify it for object 2, it will reflect only in object 2, and so on. Now here is small change. The id variable in the previous example was created as simple id. Now in this example we are creating id variable with star, which is asterisk symbol, which makes it a pointer variable. Now we know that we have to initialize this id variable with new keyword. There is one typo mistake. I should use id here. Please assume it is there. So this id is initialized to new int. What is the effect of this? Uh, uh, this id variable is not a regular variable now. It's a pointer variable. So these variables are not going to keep the value as we were holding a value in the previous example. Like this id variable holds a value and not an address, but as we are creating this id variable with the star symbol, this variable is going to keep the address and not a value. So when we create object 1, object 2 and object 3, which copies, let's say right now I am copying the values of object 1 into object 3. So what happens is object 1 is independent copy created, object 2 independent copy is created, object 3 it is also independent copy, but while copying the values of object 1 into object 3, it copied the address of id variable. What is the effect of this now? So when you modify object 2.id, it goes to the heap memory. Earlier we had a stack memory. Now in the heap memory, it modifies oxo id in the heap, which is at ox1. So ox1 memory is modified and its value is changed to 2. Now this is happening on the heap memory. So if you modify object 3.id, see how the object 3 is been created by copying all the values of object 1. So when you modify object 3.id, actually the id variable object 3 and id variable of object 1 are pointing to the same location, which is on heap. So when you modify star object 3.id is equal to 3, it refers to the memory in the heap and it modifies the value of id to 3. Now what will happen? If you print object 1.id, then it will print 3 now. Why? Because you have modified object 0x0 to value 3. So this is the effect of using new keyword while initializing the members of data members of a class. I hope you got the concept. uh, in the next video we are going to talk more about new and delete and then constructors and destructors. Thank you.